Amen. Howdy, y'all. I'm Pastor Steve Stevens, the Church of Stephenly Steve. Here to tell y'all the good word. And the good word is Stevery. In only 3 easy payments of $666,000, y'all can be a Stevist. Now, here's the advantage of being a Stevist. It's like a get out of hell free card. When you become a Stevist, now you walking up the pearly gates, you running out of breath. It's a long walk, you see. You get up there, now you keep the card in your breast pocket. You run into St. Peter up there, and you hand him the card, and he comes up and he says, "Oh, you with Steve," and then he ushers you along. See, there ain't no repercussions for the way you lived here on Earth when you become a part of my church. Hallelujah! Kumbaya, motherfucker.
Fridge buzzing is all about time. That was really the first one of these, and it's so many references to time. I don't think I'm gonna go through each one. Do I really want to? I think these are pretty. A lot of these songs are pretty obvious. I mean, Mornings is one of my favorites, where I'm really messing with time signatures a lot. I was obsessed with Dave Brubeck, specifically the Time Out album, and so I was messing with polyrhythms and Death Speaks to Me. I specifically remember coming down off of cocaine when I wrote that song. So that there's a lot of drugs back then. Blame. There's a lot of stuff about family. There's just a lot of problems with my parents and grandmother at the time and sibling, everybody. So guilt, blame. I was getting blamed a lot and I was feeling guilty a lot. Okay, that's pretty obvious. Boulders Blocking the Devil's Way. I think I was also obsessed with Neil Young, doing a lot of Neil Young, but you know, obviously the subject matter is trying to get free from this load of shit, which is so much of life. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna quickly, if I can be quick. I'm gonna go through more Impaster songs, and then I'll try to do this. I don't know if I will or not. Witness to the Storm. Witness to the Storm is the first day of spring, right? Or last day of, yeah. So I was camping out on what we called the Bluffs. I think probably running away from, I think my mom had probably put out as a teenager. Dad always kicked me out. My mom always called the cops and reported me as a runaway. Witness to the Storm. Got a ukulele, and it's a true story. You're camping out, and then it's just a dramatic turn of the seasons change while I'm camping, and you wake up in a huge thunderstorm. Nude Blues is about a friend of mine getting pregnant. Two friends of mine that were totally not ready to get pregnant. No Regrets is almost kind of borderline suicide song, but it's just imagining being, there's a lot of imagining being one with the water, or one with the earth. It's basically not wanting to be a human, but wanting to be part of the bigger picture. Jonab is just an anagram for banjo. I just wrote a pretty banjo song. No Time or Place. Again, I think No Time or Place, just wanting to be one with everything and being kind of frustrated with being just a fucking human. Half a Mile Away is a song about suicide. You just, and then leaving your body hanging. Yeah, it's pretty dark. I still like it though. I don't know. Okay, It'll All Come Back is about getting arrested. Calm Down Old Man is about the guy I was in a contract with trying to do a recording with, basically. Bittersweet and Baby Blue is a fanciful song about, well, it takes the kind of famous idiom, if somebody jumps off a bridge, if everybody jumps off a bridge, are you going to do it? And, of course, the answer is, well, I might. I mean, everybody, literally everybody jumped off the same bridge. Well, let's explore this. But I think it's also about being an individual and making up your own mind. You're as lusty, loving, and God. Already did that. It's a song about the end of the world. It's a apocalyptic song with some of the really fun sounds. I don't know how the fuck all those sounds. Settle for Less. It takes from a lot of poetry that I was writing about how the Bible ended up the Bible, specifically Constantine and that whole thing, and how I was trying to figure out how people could take the Bible so literally if it had been so mangled and misused. But it's also very cynical. I mean, I'm making fun of myself for being a cynic, calling myself a cynic. The sun doesn't set if you keep writing east. All of those things that's completely false. The sun wouldn't set if you're writing west. The whole thing is it's a lot of word games and a lot of laughing at the ridiculousness of the religious people I was surrounded with and how little any of it made sense and how no one else seemed to be interested. They weren't interested, and they just were following and not asking any questions. Love the Night is really simple. That's a song in 5, and it's just being Midnight Accumulation is I think I'm quoting like Voltaire and a bunch of and I'm kind of doing a Jim Morrison wannabe kind of thing, and It'll All Come Back. Lie, allegories. I don't think any of these songs mean anything. Have I worked Roots of Paradise 2? Hope to meet you there. I think one of the coolest, I've mentioned it, I think I'm playing violin, and sometimes those songs where you just start doing something, they end up sounding the coolest. Roots Part 1 is some of the coolest lyrics I wrote during that time. I like to start at the roots of a tree that I grew. I like to pulse through the veins of forgotten youth. I think you'll have to just figure that one out for yourself. Cemetery! This is also one of them. I mean, some of these songs, man, damn it. Cemetery, Albert Camus, literally writing about death and the materialism that goes around death. And I had been to so many funerals. All of my friends were dying, and I used to walk through this graveyard in Huntsville, Alabama. I used to just hang out there a lot, maybe a little too much, because I had several friends buried there. And it was this, when you go to these funerals, everybody's so fake, so much phony nonsense. And then you go in the middle of the night, and the wind's blowing, and the trees and the shadows, and it feels so much more lively at night. And I was writing. There's this thing with the French existentialists too, that I picked up on in The Stranger, which is this. His mom dies, but he's more concerned about the sun getting hot, and so I actually wrote that into the song. people are they're all wearing black, and they're all just, it's just hot as shit and melting in the sun because they care more about the money and the money they pay in the funeral, and then there's the guy who carves the stone, and it's so materialistic. Anyways, that was a long fucking explanation. This is why I don't do this. Poor Boy is about switching places with someone who's got it all, basically. And it's kind of... I recorded a full band version that was always supposed to be a Greater Dog song that still hasn't been released, that I still have, that if I ever had money for someone to mix it properly, I think that's the only way. But that's like an epic... it's a epic anthem song, Poor Boy. Another lullaby, I was down on the Gulf. That's just a lullaby. It's a love-lost lullaby. And then Any Other Night I'd Say Goodbye is kind of another one. So some of these, this is, having girl problems. I feel bad for you, son. Waterways is like, I was trying to do like the my way. This is what I've done. It's kind of like, what do you want? You're at the end of your life, at the end of your career. And then Until It's Over, that's another one. By the way, this is Roots of Paradise 1. The Love Part 3, that was an epic... Love Part 2 ended up being a Robert LaSalle song. Love Part 4 ended up being a Robert LaSalle song. It's the evolution of love. When you start love, you think that it's in a person. You think, oh, I need this person to fulfill my love. And then Love Part 2 is like, wait a minute, this person fucked me over. I want the love that I'm giving to be the love. And then Love Part 3, you're like realizing that love is, the Greeks have like 10 different words for love or something like that. Most languages do. So then you end up with universal love. How anyone has to find a holistic love. Whether you're looking for it in drugs, you're looking for it in sex, you're looking for it in food, you're looking for it, and you kind of overdo it in all these different ways. This kind of love, is it this kind of love? Your parents, your family, you're this kind of, and then at some point in the evolution of this experience, you realize that the only place you're experiencing love is within yourself. There's no outside thing that actually does it. You're actually generating this feeling within yourself, and then that love is actually more like the basis for all of the other crap that exists on top of it. And then the key is directly linked to Think Twice. So they're both meant to be taken together. Virgin Marmalade Die. Did it. Time Wall, I think I'm just playing with electronic sounds there. I don't think there's a lot of depth there. But I just like, I don't know. My Heart Says. It's a pretty obvious one. Blanket of Faith. So it's kind of a cheesy song, Blanket of Faith, but I was writing to balance this thing out, the marriage of heaven and hell. Okay, one more Impaster album, Love Is Not As Blind As Me. I think it's still the best one, but also mainly because it's almost entirely like there's no band. It's mostly guitar, so it sounds better because I wasn't, there's not all this hiss from pointing a microphone at some random instrument. But also, I think I became a better lyricist during this time. But that being said, I don't know. Ocean Floor is almost a little bit too Jeff Buckley. I love Jeff Buckley, but I think I was. But it's also got kind of a Queen thing with the harmonies. You figure that one out yourself. Canvas. That one should be pretty obvious too. That's it's just a canvas without you. I kind of like the love thing. It's just you're painting this picture that becomes your life, and you start identifying with all these little things within it, and it's your canvas. But I mean, I guess that's again, it could be God, it could be a lover, it can be whatever. It's just a canvas. Not Afraid of the Water is one of the first times I start complaining about my situation in songs, which I think is a mistake. But a lot of One More Lullaby was that, basically saying, why the fuck isn't this working? Like, how come nobody's listening? Not Afraid of the Water. I remember. I mean, I'm living in Nashville, and I was lived on the 8th floor. Most of this album. So I'm on this kind of high-rise overlooking Nashville, this tiny little place with no furniture, and I remember thinking, wow, it seems so fitting, looking down at Music City. And so a lot of this is I'm looking at Music City, going, why? How come I can't get people to listen to my music? But it's comparing myself to my father, saying there's that lyric which is saying maybe I'll just settle down somewhere. So I'm just debating, like, what do I do? Do I give up on art and go work, get some 9-to-5 job, which I ended up working a lot of jobs during this time. So I think it's way more poetic than the way I just explained it, though. I just explained it in a real literal way. I think it's if you think of the water as success in this case, but in a much wider context, the water is always a specific thing, and I don't want to give it a word, but when I talk about the water, I'm talking about, let's just say God, and you can fill in whatever blanket. Home Part 1. Well, obviously this wasn't originally called Home Part 1. I wrote Home Part 2 for that Doom Patrol thing. And the idea was, maybe I can get people to listen to the old stuff and the new stuff. Maybe I can... It didn't work. But home has always been an issue. I think I was homeless then. I know I recorded that piano at university. Home is where the heart is. There's no place like home. All that crap. I was very cynical during this time. For someone or something, that is also one of the most memorable songs from that time. I had somebody ask me, I don't know, a few years ago, what about legacy. They said, I mean, the whole thing I do is about it's the legacy of the music. I mean, you don't go through all this if you really think no one else is ever going to listen to what you're doing. So I think, again, this is like, basically, are you going to live for the moment, or are you going to live to, like, perfect the shit you did in the past? Which this theme, still, as I live and breathe, talking to this fucking camera, I'm still doing it. I mean, I'm taking a little bit of time to put these videos together, so that hopefully, again, another attempt to get people to listen. But then I'm going to go right back to being in the moment and try to forget that I ever did this. Letters from Death. Well, these are a bunch of different contexts. How death comes calling. I think, Dear Evil Self-Imposed. That's one of the last ones. That's death. Death comes to us all. There's one line where death comes to a baby. I mean, I think I don't say the word baby, but I say, the innocent one, or Glory Enclosed. So it's written like a letter. Each verse is a separate letter from death. Again, the great equalizer, right? Dreaming, same theme. I'm dreaming of this successful life. I'm looking over the city where all of these musical people are making all of this stuff happen, and of course I was just sitting alone going, I wish I could play with all the other kids. I wonder why I can't play with all the... Of course, every time I did, fucking horrible things happened. 2008, this was 2008. Finally lit Teal. That's just having fun. What? I'm falling. This album's fucking dark. Jesus Christ. Water Under the Bridge is just Piss in the Wind. I still think that one's funny because it just takes two kind of classic idioms. Water under the bridge. No, that is fucking Piss in the Wind. Going, Gone. I think I'm trying to write. I think this is really the beginning of I'm trying to write pop music. So I'm trying to get a publishing deal. And then it's over. Damn You Girl. It's fucking over. And then I end up, going on to eventually get Ride. And a lot of the songs that were on Ride would have been on here, but they ended up just being demos for Ride. So the whole thing, Impaster can just be treated as a bunch of demos but they're demos I'm never going to record. So a lot of hidden stuff, which I don't think it's meant to inspire you, and I think it's also just a person playing with what he has. That's the. I didn't have much, and I think that sometimes those limitations can inspire really interesting things. So at some of this stuff, all you have is a guitar and a microphone, and of course that's Korg 16 track, and you're forced to figure out how to get the ideas out into that. Of course, after 17 years of it, I had to give it up. But I'm obviously, I really still see value in all of this, and Jesus Christ, it's 25 minutes long. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Farewell. Thanks for all the fish.